Russia started the war with Ukraine, prompting Germany and other Western nations to impose sanctions.
Sanctions against Russia.
Russia, with over 26,000 sanctions, is the world's most sanctioned country. But what does that actually mean for life here? Are the shelves empty? Are prices exploding? Or do you hardly notice anything? To find out, I took 1,000 rubles, which is about 10 euros, and challenged myself. How much does food cost? How expensive is life? And do you even feel the sanctions here? Exactly, you'll see that in this video.
I'm holding 10 euros and 1,000 Russian rubles in the world's most sanctioned country. And today I want to see together with you what you can still get for this money in 2025. 5 years ago, you could buy a lot with 1,000 rubles. And today I want to test how the purchasing power has changed. 5 years later, after several years of war and several years of sanctions, and yes, can you get through an entire day here in Russia with 10 euros? Spending just 10 euros a day is tough. You must budget carefully, which is what we're doing today. Today we're visiting special places where you get a lot for little money. First, we visit the city's Soviet flea market. I have a metro card with money on it, and a ride costs 80 cents. So, from 1,000 rubles we now have 920 left. We're now at Ujilnaya station, and I want to spend some of my 10 euro budget here. It's a strong contrast to the St. Petersburg I usually show you. Not so much glamour anymore, or how do you say it, not quite that luxury anymore, but we're really a bit outside now. An hour outside with the suburbs, so to speak. Ujilnaya station, so the first station of the market, is mainly vegetables, fruit, flowers. That's the first street, which is actually quite good, because later I can buy something here. You'll see later where I'll spend part of my money here. But yeah, that's the first part of the market. And now the real market begins. Here you'll find Soviet relics and lots of military clothing. I'm not sure if this is usual or due to the current situation. But yeah, I'll show you a bit of what you can find here. In a way, it's also a second-hand market. There are an incredible number of clothes here. Very practical for people who might not have much money at the end of the month, but still need new clothes. You can really find everything here. Yeah, what I also find interesting is that you find so many German clothes here, so much German culture at this market. There are 5 or 6 stands selling only lederhosen. With, yeah, things like that. You can see it here, guys, a whole bunch just with lederhosen. And the thing is, I actually need a pair of lederhosen. Yeah, that I myself need this, you. The GmbH, the After Genius, beautiful models. There are also traditional women's costumes. Up here you can see even more German clothing.
In Köln and Düsseldorf, this was the case in the 2000s.
And
Then my trips got worse and worse. You couldn't even go into the neighborhood there. Especially near the train station in Cologne.
there are so many of them. It's a nightmare. It's not even Germany anymore. I don't know. It's like somewhere in Asia. For us,
It's even calmer. They're mostly educated, but when I look, I see people sitting in Kurkas cafes. They come with their own couriers and play cards. That
is really the ideal place for collectors because you can find everything here. Absolutely everything. I'm only showing you a small part. It stretches for kilometers. Look guys, a helmet from the German Democratic Republic. Then a few more helmets, including from the German Empire. I think it's already white, red and black. It says here, for the protection of workers and peasants' power. That's what it says, guys. An interesting specimen. Such a helmet costs 120 euros. Yeah, no, you could probably bargain down to half, but there are already some historical items here. No, I want to buy you something with these 10 euros, guys. That's why I'm looking around to see what kind of souvenir I can get you. With just 10 euros, I have to carefully consider what I buy for you. Managing your money wisely is important, not just for challenges like this, but in daily life too. I think these badges are the best thing I can buy, cheap and a great souvenir. I'll see what I can negotiate here. These are the 3 items I bought for you. They cost 1.50 euros altogether. That means we don't have much money left now. I want to pass this on to you guys. I basically want to give it away as a prize. Of course, it's not worth much, just 50 cents for the pin, but I think it's a cool design, a cool souvenir. So if you want to have it, just leave a comment. Also, feel free to write other comments or share your thoughts about the video. I'm always interested in that too. Probably nobody wants these things, and there won't be any extra comments. My trick to push the algorithm a bit will probably fail. No, but seriously guys, make sure to leave a comment. Till next time. Bye 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 bye. There are still bazookas lying around here. It's hard to describe the scale. There are thousands of booths and exhibits here. But I don't want to drag you around the market here for hours. That's why I think I've given you a good impression. And now let's go to the next spot to spend the remaining 7 euros or so. How much does one of these cost?
Costuming? That costs about
1,300 euros. That
Is good. Thank you, Daniel. Okay guys, I just bought flowers and the whole thing cost 8 euros. That already puts me over our daily budget by $1.50 or 80 cents. Yeah, I hit exactly 10 euros today, but it's tough for the challenge since I haven't eaten yet and all that. That's why let's not count the flowers, because on a normal day you don't buy flowers. This is no longer part of the challenge, so it won't affect the budget. And no, I don't have a girlfriend. Guys, I'm back in the city center. I also want to use some of the money to try a new cultural activity I haven't experienced while living in St. Petersburg. Something cool is coming. Get ready to be surprised. We'll be there soon. On the way to the cultural activity, I want to show you something I think I already showed you on Instagram. Here's the name. Feel free to follow along, but I've never shown it to you on YouTube. Since it's on the way, I'll quickly show you. There's a very nice candy store here on Nevsky Prospect. Guys, you see little magical figures. It almost feels like you're visiting Hogsmeade from Harry Potter here. You can also see the facade is incredibly beautiful, with all kinds of figures and so on. There it is, guys. Kupcov Elisevich store, founded in 1902, is now 120 years old. And now let's go inside. You'll see right away that it's magical. It starts with a self-playing piano. Some pineapple things. And here, above all, there's fine food, like caviar, spirits, chocolate. The stuff is dressed elegantly. Here you can also see the architecture. It definitely has a very special charm. It reminds me of the chocolate factory I visited with my grandparents and sister on the way to the Bavarian forest. Whenever we learned a poem in a foreign language, he would always give us 5 or 10 euros credit in that chocolate hall. Say hi to my sister, she'll remember. So it's definitely worth a visit, guys, if you're ever here. We've arrived at this particular cultural activity, namely the Fabergé Museum with the Fabergé eggs, which really, they look fascinating and are worth tens of millions of euros. I just wanted to see for myself since I've never been inside. We're going inside now. Admission is 3 euros or 300 rubles for students, so we have about 5 euros left for today. That's the student price. If I weren't a student, I would have had to pay 600 or even 900. That means you get a big discount. Here, a fan of the show, Bears for Rares, sometimes tunes in, and these Fabergé eggs are here. Whether antique or not antique, in any case, when it comes to art, when it comes to such exhibits, they are among the most valuable of all. I think the eggs are now worth 20 to 30 million euros, so their price has risen dramatically. Back then, when the eggs were made, they cost about 6,000 rubles, about twice the price of a car. That means those were the prices back then, and today you can get quite a lot of cars for 30 million.
I can definitely recommend the Fabergé Museum to you. Even with a German student identification, you only pay 3 euros for admission here. The origin of the eggs goes back to 1885, when Tsar Alexander III had the very first egg designed as an Easter gift for his wife, Maria Feodorovna. She liked the eggs so much that he decided to give her another egg every year. Of the 50 eggs that Carl Fabergé created, 7 are still lost to this day. The remaining 43 are divided among museums and private collections. Russian oligarchs, the British royal family, and institutions like the Kremlin were able to acquire eggs. Today, as you saw, the eggs are valued at $20 to $30 million.
So for any lover of Russian history, it's an absolute must. The Tsar's family, who had these eggs made, marked the end of an era. They were shot, and then things continued with the Bolsheviks. And yes, an exciting part of history. I'll show you the eggs now. There are many other things in the museum, but I wanted to show you what people come here for. We finished the day's second activity. Yeah, cool day, guys. The flea market was also really interesting to see. Really antique. Although, I have to say, sometimes it has a certain aftertaste. I had some interactions at the flea market where I noticed that Russians no longer have the best view of Germany these days. You saw the scene I edited in where I said I'm from Düsseldorf. He replied that he's often in Düsseldorf and Cologne. In recent years it got worse with each visit.
It was the same in Cologne and Düsseldorf. That was in the 2000s.
And
Then it kept getting worse and worse. I can't get in anymore.
and so on. And that wasn't just a one-time interaction, but just at the flea market alone. 2 or 3 people reacted like that when I said I was from Germany. But yeah, it's interesting to see. It wasn't like that 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe things have changed here now. You really notice that Russia and the West are just ideological enemies who see the world completely differently. But that makes geopolitics all the more exciting. We're simply living in a multipolar world now, where there are 3 or 4 players with very, very opposing views. But the divide isn't just geopolitical, it's also on a societal level, on an individual level. I always notice that the mentality here is very, very different. And yes, it's really interesting because as a German, there are so many points where I'm more on the Western side and many points where I'm more on the Russian side. So I'm right in the middle. And yes, I noticed that I take a bit from both worlds. I always pick the best from both worlds. But yeah, there really is a difference here. So I've rested at home for an hour or 2 and now I'm out and about again. It gets dark here as early as 7 in the evening. And I realized that in the video you didn't really get a sense of what the cost of living is like here in Russia. I mean, a flea market or a museum isn't really something representative that you do in your everyday life. What's representative is food. And I think a lot of people are interested in that too. How much does food cost here? How much do restaurant visits cost and so on? And that's why I decided to walk to a food court now, where there are hundreds of restaurants in one place. The cool thing is, this food court is just 3 minutes away from my home. I'll show you 3 or 4 restaurants. Here you see a kebab plate with meat and bread. These dishes cost 6 euros. For example, ramen here is 6 or 7 euros. Or you can get something for 5 euros. There's also a pizza place called Pizza Club, where pizza costs about 6 euros, I think. Does that sound right? I'll keep it brief. Imagine, I've lived here 2 months and come 3 or 4 times a week, so I know it very well. Say how much everything costs. You pay 6 euros for a main course, 6 euros for a pizza, 6 euros for an Asian dish, 6 euros for Russian food. That's about the average, I would say. Drinks usually cost 2 euros too, so you end up spending around 8 to 10 euros. In the end, when you go out to eat here, yeah, how is it? Not bad. In Germany, the same meal costs about 15 to 20 euros. But it's gotten more expensive here too. You used to get food for less than 10 bucks here. This food court is huge. Maybe I'll show you a few more impressions. In the B-roll, it's really stylish and modern. Here you have everything, sweets, main courses, so as I said, just regular Italian main dishes. But yeah, that's how the prices are. And here in this food court, you're also allowed to bring your own drinks. That means, of course, you can also save money that way. And for example, you can also get a bock plate for 3.50 euros, but those are really just a bit meager dishes. Let me show you another cheap spot. Rice with egg here is just 3.50 euros. But the bigger dishes still cost 6 to 7 euros. So the pizza costs 6 euros. We went slightly over budget by about 1 euro above 10. But if there's one thing you saw in this video, it's that 10 euros just isn't enough anymore. So 300 euros a month. If you're retired and eat in the cafeteria daily and cook a lot at home, maybe though. Yeah, let's say you go out to eat once a day. You always pay, like I said, 10 euros just for that, just for eating out once. Plus there might be extra activities or you might eat out again. So yeah, that's definitely not possible. And yeah, I'll just take you along to the market just to show you a bit of what they have in St. Petersburg. And those 10 euros were a good hook. I needed a title and thumbnail, but this is really just a daily vlog to show you what's here. And I hope you liked it. Are you interested in what you can do here in St. Petersburg? If so, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see each other again soon. Until then, ciao. Now that the challenge has been filmed, guys, I was able to secretly get myself a second dish, namely this breakfast smoothie bowl. The cost is again around 6 euros. So you see, 6 euros is about the average price these days. And yeah, I'm very tall, I'm always very hungry. Of course, that wasn't enough pizza. But yeah, the challenge was already over, so this is just extra. I should have actually eaten that behind the camera, secretly.